I typed stuff to annoy Rich, did I?
Oh, where's the Twitter? Twitter.
I don't think we have anything that should annoy you too much. Well, except the damn Macworld thing. Jesus Christ. Thank you for covering the one of the more major Apple events this year. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not how you spell broad. Broadcasting. Wait a minute. Broadcast. No, I was right. Broadcast. Here I was thinking I was writing it wrong, and I was confusing a broadcast with a broad. But
have you watched Danger 5 at all, Rich?
Oh, I saw the first year.
Okay, we just finished up the first season tonight.
Yeah.
So, Wasteland Panda.
Oh boy.
I guess that's like a series of 6-minute shorts they're doing as a one large block at Fantastic Fest.
Yeah. That was how first year went. And for God's sake,
no,
kill Hitler.
Wasteland Panda is some of the cast is in so-so panda suits doing Mad Max in Outback Australia. Except some of our characters just happen to be large talking bipedal pandas.
That's wow.
Yeah, Wendy's like, I don't know if I'll have time to see it. Like, I'm so going to torrent this. It's up my alley.
all right, are we ready?
Well, that's a debatable thing, but yeah, I suppose.
I suppose I'm not it.
Go on, Paul. I'll be the special guest star.
So I have to do the intro? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 5, 4, 3.
Hello, world, and welcome to the Geek Life. This is episode 235 for the week of September 15th. As always, we record on a Tuesday, so it's actually September 16th. Melissa is down in Texas getting ready for Fantastic Fest. I will soon be a single parent by the end of this week, as my wife is going to leave for Fantastic Fest soon. Fantastic Fest. On the other hand, we do have Fantastic Fest with us. Woo! And our special guest that we love so much, the NSA's let him out for a bit, Richard.
Hello.
That's a callback joke.
We try.
So, videos and film, unfortunately.
I wasn't done with my intro.
Melissa's not here to give us the rundown for that. That's great radio, guys. It's great radio.
We try.
But one thing I do recall seeing is the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters 1 and 2 are available on Blu-ray, complete with never-before-seen deleted scenes. I, of course, have not seen them yet because I think it's still in pre-order, but I also haven't ordered it either, but there you go. And that's all we have for video.
Well, we got a few things here. I'm looking at the new release list now.
Okay.
The remake of Godzilla is out.
Which one?
DVD and Blu-ray. The one that was just out.
The 2014
Okay, that remake. Got it.
With the Breaking Bad guy.
Okay.
And you can get it in 3D if you want.
Ooh, with the curved Samsung screen.
Let's see. The Big Bang Theory Season 7 and Arrow Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody apparently thought we needed yet another release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Jesus Christ.
I got one. Mr. Carter.
Sleepy Hollow Season 1, Grimm Season 3. This seems to be a good week for television. South Park Season 17.
WKRP.
I'm getting there.
Okay, wasn't sure.
Congo on Blu-ray. Oh, this is even better on Blu-ray. Meteor.
Hey.
Remember Meteor? Sean Connery, Martin Landau,
Oh.
Natalie Wood, Carl Malton.
I can only just guess how good it was from that description alone.
It was interesting. This was a period when you could get a film financed just with a title, some artwork, and a couple of stars lined up. Then you'd go to the film festivals and pre-sell it. So these people were buying films that they had no idea if they were any good or not. Which pretty much explains Golan Globus, but we won't go there.
Yay.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, 30th anniversary.
Sorry.
Well, it's the second one that's the most important, okay?
30-year anniversary. My God.
The second one's most important. Is it included in the pack, or is it just the first movie?
Second one's not 30 years.
Just the first movie.
Oh, no, okay.
Oh, here you go. Spartacus, the complete series. Every disc can say, I am Spartacus.
Please insert disc Spartacus.
I am Spartacus. Anyway. Oh, here you go. Jerry Lewis and the Nutty Professor on Blu-ray. Oh, my God. This may be title of the week. Disaster L.A. Last zombie apocalypse begins here. Of course it begins in Los Angeles. Everything's in Los Angeles.
Except when it's in New York.
Gonna die in Los
And
Angeles.
Tokyo. And London.
This is what I left Tokyo to get away from. And apparently somebody made a TV show out of From Dusk Till Dawn. And that's out on disc as well. I've seen that showing up on Netflix for a while. I haven't decided if I'm bored enough to give it a shot.
Mm.
And here you go. Rock Hudson, Mia Farrow, and Robert Forster in Avalanche.
I stayed in that hotel.
Fascinating.
That they shot at?
That they shot at Tamarack in Aspen, I think. But Tamarack in Colorado is like, my dad had some convention there, took us as kids, had a fun time. Catch Avalanche, late night HBO, way past when it came out. I'm like, wait a minute. I was there.
That's fun, though.
And that was the only interesting part of the movie. For me.
That you were there.
Yeah.
A couple things came out last week. Homeland Season 3, Supernatural Season 9, both on Blu-ray. Also on Blu-ray, Godzilla 2000, which was one of the Japanese movies.
I have that on DVD.
That one actually surprised me. That was not bad.
It was. That was my first modern Godzilla film that I've seen. I'd like to think that I may have seen like one of the older Godzillas, but I don't think I did. So I think Godzilla was the first one I seen after the '98 one.
I'm trying to remember if that was part of the Japanese reboot series. I
think that was where it started.
Okay.
That's where it started. And I remember it's like I was like, oh, Godzilla one in '98, and then I happened across Godzilla 2000, which happened to be on TV somewhere, and I was like, this is actually really good. And I watched it again, and it's like, yeah, this is actually really good. And it's like we got this thing, a guy in a suit over here. This is way better than the '98 movie.
Yeah, there was actually, a plot and atmosphere and
Characters.
What else do we have? Jamie Lee Curtis and Leslie Nielsen in Prom Night on Blu-ray.
It sounds painful.
Yes, it does. Although, here you go. Rebirth of Mothra, parts 1, 2, and 3. If somehow you have managed to get to this day and age and you do not have a copy of Young Frankenstein, I'm sorry, but you can now buy Young Frankenstein on Blu-ray as a 40th anniversary, whatever it is.
Frau Blucher.
Yes. A funny thing happened. And right next to that is a funny thing happened on the way to the forum.
Yay!
So, there you go.
I gotta write this down. Hey, do you got a link to that, or is that something that Melissa had thrown together before?
No, I'll send. For a specific.
Well, just if you can send me all of whatever you're looking at, maybe I'll get them in the show notes.
That's easy enough. Oh, here you go. The Addams Family, the first movie.
Yeah, it's okay.
It had its fun bits.
I can't snap with this hand anymore with my arthritis.
Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Cotton Comes to Harlem. A gentle story about race.
Made in the 70s.
Oh.
Oh, Life Force is on Blu-ray.
Yep.
Dun 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 dun.
You can now see Matilda's breasts in glorious high definition.
Oh, I was making a Konami reference.
Yes.
Sorry, I've never seen Life Force. I've only played Life Force.
It's actually a fun movie. It's total trash, and it is pure Golan Globus, but it is a hell of a lot of fun if you try not to take it too seriously. Captain America Winter Soldier apparently came out on Blu-ray, as did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1.
Cool. Actually, there's something humorous about Winter Soldier I found out. For anybody who watches Screen Junkies on YouTube, they do the real trailers stuff.
Oh, those are fun.
Oh, the honest trailers?
The honest trailers?
Yeah, yeah.
The director of Winter Soldier loves watching them and went out of his way to make sure it was as hard as possible for them to do one of Winter Soldier. And if it wasn't the fact that they got enough fans writing into them, Screen Junkies basically said, no, it's internally consistent enough, we can't find enough faults. So to do it, they actually nitpicked across multiple movies to figure out the nitpicks. Like, if Hydra's been building up, why did they let Fury keep Tony Stark alive in Iron Man 2 and da-da-da-da-da? And they're like, look, we found some nitpicks. We told you.
We told you we were nitpicking.
Yeah. But I just love the fact that the director went out of his way and they admitted, no, we like the movie, and they actually say that in it. He's like, where Captain America kicks some ass. What? It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, that was quite the experience. And I think that just about wraps it up for the last 2 weeks. You can't tell Halloween's coming up because all these crappy 70s slasher flicks are coming out now.
Well, I do like to watch the honest trailers, but I also like to pair them up with How It Should Have Ended. And How It Should Have Ended pointed out quite a few flaws, actually, if you want to talk about the movie. But honest trailers is obviously they're looking at the trailer mostly.
Yeah. And they're like, well, and they're more like overview of the plot. How It Should Have Ended is a different take on how to attack it, I would say.
Certainly.
I enjoy both immensely. So.
Oh yeah. Everyone wins.
Yeah.
So, are we done with video and film?
Yes, I think we now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Well, still tailing off of video and film, basically, and dovetailing off of video and film and going and leaping into comics. Supergirl is apparently going to get the WB treatment, and by WB, I certainly don't mean a Warner Brothers movie.
I thought it was water or something.
Yeah, a TV show on the WB network. It's like they really don't give a crap at all about box office and just want to play on TV. Is that a good or a bad thing? Is the money better or safer on TV? And I meant this as a discussion. Small discussion.
Well, can I let me just throw one theory to you.
Okay.
I think part of the reason you're seeing this is television may be less risky, in that if you're going to do a big superhero movie, you're going to be spending $100 or $200 million, which means you really need to be banking at least $500 million to break even on that puppy. And that's something that Warner seems to have been struggling with in the last couple of years, in the last couple of movies. Whereas they had pretty good luck with Arrow. And they had enough luck that they were willing to bet on Flash.
Yep.
And I think what you're seeing here is a desire to build up a stable of characters in a less risky environment. There's also the possibility that by doing it on television, you can give it to a talented showrunner who is going to have, their fingers in it for a full year. Sometimes it's easier to get people to commit to that than I'm going to work on the next Avengers film, which is going to totally devour the next 3 years of my life.
Right. And I would agree with that. I think that is kind of where it's going, because I don't know, general audience understands, but showrunners have, I don't want to say power, but are very important to a show. And if you can find a good one that can usually take what would be a mediocre show and turn it into at least a decently running show, because the guy can do enough work for it and keep it going and keep it interesting enough. and get different directors and all that. So I think it's just, as you point out, they lucked out with Arrow. Smallville did decent enough to launch Arrow. Arrow is doing well enough that they can safely launch the other shows. And to the investment thing, if you have to cut it after a couple episodes, you're not out a ton of cash like you are a movie. And also, even if you do a whole season and your main actor decides to cut and run, you're still not out a ton of cash. Where like we're having issues with what's his face who plays Captain America, who's essentially tired of acting because he realized the weight of being in a 6-film contract, which is really heavy. That's years of your life, as Rich just said. Where with a television show, it's kind of especially if it's well run, it's a 9-to-5 job if it's well run. That was one of the hallmarks of, Babylon 5 at one time. That was one of the hallmarks of Firefly. The Firefly wasn't quite 9-to-5. They had late shoots. But still, it was if it's fun to go to work, it's more like a normal job and you have a good time. So if it's a good show, it's less taxing on your entire cast. So yeah, I think it's a safe bet. I think it's a good strategy on their part. They know they're not doing well in film. They know it's not clicking like it is for the Marvel franchise, but they're clicking in a different place, and they seem to be doing well there, and they seem to be getting decent people to run the stuff. So why not make a profit over there? It might not be billions of dollars, but still a decent profit. So,
well, the
plus
other
you still get DVD sales and all that.
You have the DVD sales, and you always have the possibility that if the show does well enough, and they get some of these other superhero, what's the ensemble pieces that it looks like they're desperately running toward. You have the opportunity to take a character from the TV show and move it into the movie. If it doesn't work, well, you're relying on more than the one character to float the film. The actor goes back to doing the TV show, and there you go.
Right.
And I think what you're seeing there is the hope that has kept something like Supernatural alive for so long, is that it's not necessarily a very highly rated series, but it does very, very well in a very profitable demographic.
Yep.
And it's very appealing to advertisers. So even if you don't make huge money, you can still make good money, and you can attract the type of audience that advertisers are going to want.
Yeah. Yep. And the other thing I just kind of think of this top of my head is where like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is being utilized kind of box out characters in the Marvel Universe for use in the movies. To your point on, you can take a character out of the show into the movie. Via the shows, you could introduce the characters you want, know that they're out there in the popular media, and then if you want to do an ensemble movie like Justice League or something, you can basically now still have that crossover like they did with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Winter Soldier, where Winter Soldier is, then the television show reacts. You can go in reverse. You set it up in the movie, and then, okay, we'll have the big movie now. We set up in the shows. Then you have the big movie. It still can stand on its own plot, but it can have the setup from the show so you know who everybody is if you're a fan of the shows, and you're kind of in on the inside jokes then.
But everyone already knows these characters. They make direct-to-DVD cartoon movies all the time. They have scripts that you just make it freaking live action.
I would argue not everybody knows the characters, but
I actually
I'm watching.
have to. No, I have to.
You're kind of inside baseball.
You're selling to two demographics.
Yeah.
With those direct-to-DVDs, you're selling it to kids who know the characters from comics, and you're selling them to adult comic readers who already know who the characters are anyway. To a larger mainstream audience, yeah, Wonder Woman's famous, but The Flash?
No. The cartoons are all over TV. Everyone knows them. Our parents know them. Kids know them. Parents know them because they grew up with them. Kids know them because they're still on TV.
Only if they're streaming in this house.
No, it's...
You're forgetting how many cord cutters are out there.
I've been just streaming Justice League Unlimited for the past month, and
girls don't
talk about not knowing what the heck is going on. It's like, all right, you like Justice League? Let's give you every single character ever that we ever have, and you don't need to explain any of these people. All you need are like the heavy hitters up in front, and have like another one just come in and just I mean, it's obviously for a movie you can't do that because it would cost too much. But it's like they can do this. They're just so freaking afraid to to do. It's like, where the hell did Avengers come from, or any of these other Marvel properties that are just coming out, and they're just
Joss Whedon's great.
well, even like Guardians of the Galaxy.
But observe what happened. Observe what happened with Avengers, though. Avengers was built up to.
Well, yeah, by like Iron Man.
And Thor.
No, it wasn't. Don't. We all know it wasn't.
Now, go all the way back to the beginning. What was the big Marvel property that suddenly caught? It was X-Men.
What?
That put superhero films back on the map.
Yeah.
So then the question was, well, okay, superheroes, what can we do? Spider-Man? Yeah, everybody knows Spider-Man. Let's do that. What do we got next? Okay.
Fantastic Four.
Then it got, and
Yeah.
people had no end of hate for that, which is a whole different story. But Avengers was built up to rather intentionally after the first Iron Man film came out, and then Thor came out, and then they tried Hulk repeatedly, and it just never worked by itself for some reason or another.
Well, if people didn't give it a chance the second time.
But by the time Avengers came out, those characters had been backed by very, very large multi-million-dollar promotional budgets aimed at the mainstream audience.
Yeah.
So that film was really set up, and I think that's why the first thing you're seeing out of the other camp is Batman versus Superman, which, I don't care. Just don't. You've done Superman, you've done Batman. Put them both away and do something more interesting.
Aquaman.
Actually, I hate to admit it, but Aquaman could easily be DC's Thor movie.
Oh, I'd be the secondary character you don't know as well. Have fun, as opposed to my preference of being Prince Namor, because you gotta find the right guy who can wear that Speedo the whole time.
Well,
I'm Namor, and here's my opposing strap.
Do you know how much freaking publicity that if DC and the Warner Brothers just announced like Aquaman 2016, and just to like have the title? Do you realize how crazy everybody would go? It would get positive attention, negative attention. People won't even know what's going on, and all they have to do is make it like as good as Thor, and Thor wasn't really that great. I mean, it was a rom-com that had some action in it, and it did well. It wasn't fantastic film, but
from a mainstream perspective, I'm actually going to disagree on that. Thor was an extremely well-crafted movie, in the sense that it was big and romantic and over the top. It was visually very well done.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no way to dispute the fact that this thing was directed by a guy who did Shakespeare. Because he basically realized that a lot of comic books are Shakespeare. The characters strut around on the stage saying ridiculous things, thrusting their codpiece toward the audience. And that's basically what the Thor movie did.
Well, I think this is also the other thing. One of the reasons why Thor was so successful, I think it really comes down to, yes, it's a good movie. Everyone thought it was going to be crap. Therefore, when it was actually good, people were blown away by it because their expectations were so low. Now, if you have like that for Aquaman, but you actually really work on making a good movie, that's what I'm saying, that it could be DC's Thor.
Well, it could be, but I think it's also because within a wider mainstream audience, you don't have a lot of preconceptions of what the character is. So you have room to maneuver.
Okay, you're saying are you saying it was better for Thor for the public not having a lot of preconceptions about who Thor was? Because people are going to have a whole lot of preconceptions about what Aquaman is.
Yeah, he's not a well-known character outside the fan base.
Yeah, but he's such a huge joke character to like the mainstream. They have a whole lot of misconceptions about him.
I liked him in Super Friends.
That's where everyone's going to be making fun of him.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you do that movie, you have to get Patrick Duffy to do a cameo.
Now, here to kind of go off on a segue and down this rat hole further.
We're on a segue.
In rat hole.
We're on a rat hole of a rat hole.
You know what? They in the DC universe, I think I know what they need to do for their equivalent of Guardians of the Galaxy, where you could make it into a good summer popcorn flick like Guardians was. I liked Guardians a lot, actually, but as a summer popcorn flick, it might not have been great movie-wise, but I thought it was lots of fun. To pull it out of nowhere, because this again is going to be a team people have heard of but not know very well.
Yeah.
Do Doom Patrol.
Ooh.
Old school Doom Patrol.
Oh, that would
Robot
be
Man,
sweet. Even the name is good, though.
Yeah, the name is good. Similar to Guardians, the team doesn't make any effing sense to be together. It's like, why are they doing this? Who's Negative Man? Why? But
just have some fun with it. Hell, they could do that with Teen Titans.
You can have the Peter Quill commentary from Robot Man, because he does the same thing in the Morrison essentially run of it.
Well, we'd have to have Beast Boy in it for sure, because if you don't have any other Teen Titans in there, you're going to need Beast Boy to connect with that demographic as well.
Yeah, and that'd be fine, and you can have fun with that. But that to me would be if somebody on the Warner Brothers DC side of things is really wanting to do how do we copy this formula, just go total weird ass and pull out a team like that.
Oh, you know what? We should have had Christopher Jones. He said he'd be open to coming back to the show and talk about comics.
Okay, love to have him.
Yeah.
We also have a bias. I kind of would like to see a Doom Patrol movie, but that's just me.
Yeah. Just a quick step back. We actually a fan of the show did find that old episode of when we had Christopher Jones on the Geek Life, and it was missing. He had a copy of it, so now it's back up in our archives. And it was Big Beastman, D.S. Simon, who had found us the file.
Yep.
So props to him, and you can find him at Big BSINPA. Mad props to him for bringing that file for us.
Yeah.
So now we're like the BBC. We've had lost episodes, and we've had one recovered.
In Africa. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, comic of the
in
week.
Pennsylvania.
Comic of the week.
Trying to politely move it along.
Comic of the week is.
This gets any worse.
I'm
teasing.
Along.
He's trying.
Comic of the week is Ruth and Annabelle Ruin Everything.
Yay!
At ruthandannabelle.com. Now, I normally like to say a little bit about each comic of the week, but I think that title says a lot of fun in there. Ruth and Annabelle, they're just like best friends, and at least Ruth tends to demonstrate why they can't have nice things, and it's a really interesting art style. And I really like the main characters and just how they interact with each other. So that's my pick of the week. Ruth and Annabelle Ruin Everything at ruthandannabelle.com.
Cool.
Moving on to tech.
Suppose I should look at the show notes. Ah, that's that one. Show notes. This is not too surprising, but as expected, Google Voice, which has been on its own lonesome for a while, is finally being wrapped into the Google Hangouts Omniverse, which makes the DC and Marvel Omniverses look paltry, in my opinion.
I'm waiting for that.
Yeah.
Guide to the Google universe.
The guide to the Google universe. I'm waiting for the Google Hangouts universe to have its, whatever was one of the major Infinite Crisis event, as it were.
Hang on. Wait. 1 second.
Hmm. What?
Sorry, I needed a big sigh.
But anyhow, yes, so Google Voice will get wrapped into Hangouts. What are they doing? It'll be part of the Android app, iOS eventually someday. Essentially, you can place phone calls or receive them via Hangouts, get your voicemail via Hangouts. The integration is still in progress. It's not perfect. It's probably rolled out to some Android devices by now and slowly rolling out to other devices and eventually the website of things. So classic Google, it's not like one big bang, it's suddenly done.
So they're basically making their own Skype.
Basically they have for a while. Now that Hangouts can differentiate between SMS and other types of messaging.
Yeah, but I don't see a way to add somebody to a Hangout via a phone number.
You don't. They're just it's more like the functionality will be there.
Oh.
That's my issue with Hangouts and Google Plus in general, is that they're trying to put everything under one big umbrella, but it isn't like it's really integrated per se. Like Photographs, for example, when they made it all part of Google Plus, it was like, well, that's nice. Now you just ruined my Picasa, and I don't know where my photos are really anymore when I upload them per se.
Yeah.
So there's that.
That's Google. It's forever beta.
Yes, always beta.
Always beta.
If you worked at Macworld, well, you worked at Macworld. I gotta love IDG for just smacking you up the ass at the wrong time. So basically, after Apple did its big, massive announcement, here's the new iPhones, here's the new iWatch, here's all this other cool stuff, the staff of Macworld live blogged it and had people there and worked their butts off to cover it the next day. Literally the next day, IDG said, here's your...
One more thing!
You're fired.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. It's like, thanks, guys. As Rich and I kind of think discussed in email briefly last week, this has been coming. IDGs and their properties are doing so. The Macworld will still be an online site. It'll be kind of a skeleton of what it was. But I love the fact that, of course, this is covered by 9to5mac.com. That says something. But I actually caught wind of it when one of the guys from iMore, who shows up on tweeted it, actually, that, sorry guys, sorry for Macworld editorial staff, loved you all, yada yada. I'm like, what? So yeah, IDG is basically shuttering down Macworld, and that'll be the end of that. So
it follows on to them having done the same thing to PC World too. It's the timing of that was such a douche move.
Yeah. It's like, thanks for everything you did. Bye.
Thanks for giving us some notice so we could, maybe while we're there, make some connections.
Yeah.
Look for new work.
Get the resume circled up.
That's as crappy as like a politician running for president, and then like when they don't win, like the night that he doesn't win, he like cuts off everybody from like the accounts and everything, and basically lets them stranded and not have any money to clean up or anything.
Yeah. Pretty much. Sorry, I got nothing for that. So it's how it is. It sucks.
So they pulled a Mitt Romney is what they did.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't realize, Apple had an event last week. They announced some things.
You don't say.
Yeah. Apple TV was not the announcement. That was the one I was rooting for, just to blow everybody's.
Still no television set.
No, it was the
doomed.
It was the twit a week ago. I loved it when somebody suggested that, and Andy Anaka would be like, "That'd be so delicious to watch all the reporters who've pre-written their copy have to go run and refile that day." We're like, yes, that would have been awesome. Just watch where we go, oh crap, it's not the watch, it was a phone, or it was something else. But yeah, so let's see. As everybody has talked about, they had Uber issues in the live stream. Caching was bad. There was the Chinese translation,
which I'm relieved, because at first I thought that was just me.
No, it wasn't just you. To me, there was obviously something wrong going on, because I got in. I logged into the feed when people are still marching in to the auditorium, and you were hearing the hold music, and you were hearing the music being played in the auditorium. I'm like, this isn't right. Okay, this is the pre-roll, but you think they would have had the audio figured out, and so obviously there's something going on early that they're really screwing up. Feed went down, feed went up. It was pretty horrid. Fanboys screamed in pain everywhere because they weren't able to goof off during lunch. So bad one, Apple. Professionals such as Rene Ritchie?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was saying, yeah, but it is actually a tough thing to do, considering how many people are going to be watching everything. It's not a non-trivial thing to live broadcast one of those. So he was being a little bit more forgiving than I think others were. So
I'll be a little bit forgiving, just because this isn't their bread and butter. You know, a lot of people jumped on that as, oh, see, they can't do the cloud because they're stupid. And it's like, well, but no, they don't run a video streaming service. They run an iCloud
and running running one that's getting hammered. You know, to me, the one they should have figured out was the audio. That to me would be okay. This is probably starting early in the pre-roll. You should be already working on that. The fact that they didn't work that out, I thought was kind of a little bit amateurish. The stream going down, that's attributable to any number of reasons, including they're just getting hammered and they can't get the Akami servers up or whatever. Yeah, there's so many things moving for that.
Yeah, it seems like Akamai had a meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
And that's...
Is it Akamai or Akami? I kind of do the Japanese, but I never knew.
I have no idea.
Okay. So
I figure we'll all figure it out somehow.
Yeah. So yes, as expected, the iPhone 6 got announced. They're bigger. There's the iPhone 6 regular and the iPhone 6 Embiggen.
There's 4.7 and 5.5-inch screens.
Yep. And
the 5.5 is 1920 by 1080. So all you people who are complaining about low-resolution iPhone screens can shut up now, because you now have a 1080p option.
To Richard's happiness, we now have a 128 gig option. Now, is that both phones or just the iPhone big
Both phones, but they did it in an interesting way. They got rid of the 32 gig model.
Oh.
So the baseline is still 16. And then you could buy a 64 and a 128.
Okay.
And of course, now that they have a 128 gig iPhone, the iPod Classic is now officially a dead product.
Yes.
It is off the store. You can't buy them anymore.
Yeah, you have to find them at Target or Best Buy or wherever it's in a Classic.
Why do they have a 16?
Because they need something that they can sell at a $4.99 price point, which becomes $199 or $99 with the subsidies. It's basically they need a version that they can sell at that basement level. And frankly, there's a lot of people for whom 16 gig is probably fine. Those are the people that don't buy apps, that don't put music on their phone.
Music, that's the killer.
That kind of thing.
Well, now that you can stream.
Right. As somebody who has a 16 gig 5S and I had a 16 gig 4S, you do push it with apps, especially if you try using productivity apps. But as long as it's not your music device, and as long as you're judicious about your photographs, as in move them off, it's a dealable size. Now, on the other hand, I can see where you'd want more, especially if you're doing more productivity stuff or doing more music or more photos. It makes sense, but it's a livable universe. But you have to be a little bit more tight about it.
It's like anything else. It depends on your use case. The reason it doesn't work for me is that I don't subscribe to any music streaming services. Right. I prefer to buy my music, and as often as music is pouring out on my phone, if I were using a streaming service and I was doing that over 4G, I'd be busting my data caps constantly.
Where some of us still have our 80 gig iPod Classic for our music, so why?
Well, I guess there's that, but I wasn't even talking about the streaming services. Oh. I meant okay, so I use Google Play now because up to some ridiculous number of MP3s, of which I don't even own that number of them yet, I can host and stream for free. I don't have to buy for anything, so I don't have to pay extra to stream my music, my actual music. So I kind of don't have a reason for
network.
But you're still paying.
No, well,
you're still streaming. Excuse me.
I'm still streaming.
And the other problem
I also have 5 gigabytes of data still. So.
Yeah, but I would chew through that.
Depends on your
the other problem I have, I've tried this with iTunes Match. I've tried it with Amazon's cloud. I haven't tried it with Google just because screw Google. I don't care. But the biggest problem I have has always been, I have an album that you have, but you only match 2 songs out of 12 because the tracks on my local machine are actually tagged correctly. And then you run into this other crap that, not to skip ahead, But especially with Amazon, now that they turned on their Prime streaming, I now got a lot of crap showing up in my cloud library that I never put there and never asked for.
Mm.
Whereas my personal collection that I have on my computer is very carefully curated. It is properly tagged. I put a fair amount of work into that to get it organized correctly. So yeah, I like to organize it and take it with me because I can't stand to listen to the radio.
I'm a big fan of putting all of my MP3s into folders, too, why nothing ever actually had tags on them to begin with. So you can realize how annoyed I was when MP3 players came out that didn't play directories. And they strictly went to tags. I was like, what the other...
Yep.
Yeah, so thank you, MP3 tag.
Apple Pay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, there's that.
Yeah, MP3 tag. I use that now, and I'm okay.
The one interesting question that maybe there's two questions that comes out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Will there ever be another iPod Touch in the 4.7 or 5.5 inch sizes? And perhaps more to the point, with a 5.5 inch iPhone 5, does the iPad mini become almost redundant in terms of having both?
Well,
a full-size iPad, that's still a big enough size difference that it matters.
I think that goes back to use cases. What is the target market? Well, I think you'll find the mini becomes similar to the Touch, becomes the thing you buy for the Ute. Both my daughters have minis.
Yeah,
and love them.
I totally see that. The actual tablets are meant to be. I think it's a pure factor of this screen's going to be on for a long time and get a lot of use. And the phone is going to be mostly in your pocket.
You haven't seen the way people play Candy Crush, have you?
Well, if they...
Well, I think also you'll see that the Mini becomes similar to my take on the Fire from Amazon. The Mini will become more the content consumption device. I want to watch my YouTubes. I want to read my book. I want to do this. Maybe send the occasional email, but it becomes more the thing you sit in bed with. Or the larger phone if you're comfortable with that. But that strikes me as something you'll see power users like on airplanes using, and then they pull out the iPad for spreadsheets and things like that. The full size. So I see where it's going to kind of cross over barriers depending on what your goal is with it all.
Okay, so there's this game that's called Artemis Bridge Simulator.
Yes, I have it on my iPhone, my iPad, and I've played it on a PC. There
you go. All those things you can set up all your iDevices. Don't sell them anymore. Keep them now and load Artemis on it, and then you have your own command station. Every single thing. There you go.
And then there's the competing game. I'm blanking on the name of it, which was more an iPhone and iPad based game, which is you're trying to keep the bridge going, and it does a peer-to-peer across the phones or mobile devices, and it starts issuing alerts like, fix the Flarnhelm, the yellow one. And you have to shout that while you're looking for what's on your pad as other people are shouting things to fix, and you have a certain amount of time to fix it before you all die. It's a fun game. I highly suggest it.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, Apple Pay.
Oh, we're still on Apple. Okay.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff from Apple.
I'm gonna go get another drink then.
Okay. Apple Pay got announced. Apple's attempt to actually do a secure payment system. It looks interesting. Unless you're European.
Yeah, but in Europe you've already got a more secure alternative to the way credit cards are done in America, so the need is not as great.
That was the point of the couple of European tweets I saw. Some were like, what's the point of this? And others were like, you obviously haven't used credit cards in America. Yeah. For those not aware, Apple Pay is basically Apple's NFC, near-field communication enabled payment system, but they have lots of other stuff going on in the back end. I thought it was actually kind of intriguing, the fact that they're going to have a separate chip. It's iPhone 6 only, so you need to get one of the new iPhones for it. But basically they'll store your credit data on that, and then they do a one-time hash, as it were. I don't know of a better word for it. So none of your actual personal financial information goes through the transaction, and then it gets approved that way when you wave your phone next to the sensor at the various retailers that agree to it. And then on top of that, of course, it will be based off your fingerprint with the fingerprint reader. And if you're doing online stuff, there are people who can buy into iPay Online, such as Target has. And then you can go buy stuff online from them, and it'll be based off that system there. So.
Well, one of the things that I think is worth pointing out that people kind of underestimate, there was a lot of, oh, why is Apple doing this? Why are they competing with PayPal? Are they trying to put Square out of business? Are they, this,
Square's
that?
already exiting that business, but yeah.
Yeah. But really what's going on here, and the thing that I think makes this work, people forget that Apple was sitting on an enormous mountain of cash.
Yeah.
So it would be trivial for Apple to set aside $1 billion in an escrow or in a bond to cover losses to fraud or security breaches, which is probably the thing that got Goddard's off the fence and working with it. Because Apple went to them and said, hey, here's what we're thinking of doing. And they said it right out. They went to Amex, they went to Visa, and they went to MasterCard, and they all got on board. Yep. Why? Because Apple is a company with the financial resources to back this up if anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these dinky little companies don't have.
And sadly, a couple large retailers are not on board because they have their own consortium they formed 2 years ago, which has yet to come out with diddly, which I love. It's like, and theirs is going to be based on QR codes.
Yeah.
And nothing has resulted. So.
And it's very possible that what we're looking at here with Apple Pay is going to be a transitionary thing, and that eventually there will be a longer-term standard that is agreed upon and enforced. But we need something now to push the conversation forward.
Yes.
This is it.
Yes, and my only annoyance with all this is everybody who's then doing the, but you can't trust them with your pictures. How can you trust them with Apple Pay? It's like it's completely different, folks. Just drop the joke. It doesn't work.
It's completely different, but the flip side is the mainstream public, I think, doesn't know that, and the mainstream public isn't in on the nuances behind the iCloud breach in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
But the flip argument is 3 months from now, nobody's going to remember the iCloud thing happened.
Right. Apple Watch. Do you care? I will admit, when I saw the video, I was essentially doing the just take my money now. But that was the sexiness of it.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. It's close. What I see right now has a lot of promise. The part that I liked about the watch was the one that they had the most details on, and that was the health and fitness aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought they did a very good job at making a better Fitbit.
Yep.
In a number of ways. And the thing I like about the iWatch is that your feedback is much more immediate.
Yes.
Than what a Fitbit gives you, and that's important. As far as everything else, I got to admit, some of the videos and pictures I've seen of the interface with the rotary of all the little icons kind of drives me nuts. It's almost a bit too much.
That's one of those, until I get to physically see it, I'm leaving the jury out, because it's to me that's one of those. It's either going to be, oh my God, why, or wow, this is actually kind of neat and makes sense. The one critique I've seen that I agree with, again, stealing from the guys at Leo Laporte's network, and mainly this is Andy Anako brought this one up, is when you look at the announcements for the iPhone, the iPad, and even the iPod, there was always a why. There was always a story about what are we trying to solve here. For the iPod, it was navigation of your MP3s, and this is how we solved it. For the iPhone, it was combining these devices and making a better phone and making a better smartphone with a good interface, and here's how we solved it. With the iPad, it's like, here's the tablet you wanted, and here's how we solved the tablet issue, and here's how it's going to help you. or here's our way of kind of schmoozing how it's going to help you. None of that was part of the iWatch presentation. There was never a why do I need this? What is this solving? How is this better than the other watches? It is. I mean, some people are agreeing it is better than some of the Android watches in that they did a better interface. Once again, Apple kind of perfected what already existed, which is what they always do. But there was never really in the demo, there was never really a why. Why do I want this? What's the story here that this is part of the ecosystem that I need it? That sort of thing. Where the other devices, that was kind of given here's what we've resolved with this.
I think part of that might be that we're still looking at a very new technology area. Phones were old, and tablets were old.
And MP3 players.
MP3 players were not as old, but I think also the purpose of an MP3 player was a lot more obvious, no matter who you were.
You can point to, at the time period, you can point to a Walkman.
Basically. Well, point taken. Point taken.
Well, no, I'm agreeing with you in that an MP3 player is obvious because you can say this is a digital version of that thing.
Yeah, and with the watch, you don't have that yet, and kind of uncharacteristic for Apple. If you go to their page and you look at the features and applications and all the things that it does, it's really kind of scattershot and shotgunned.
Yeah.
So I think that this is definitely the first time Apple's moved into a market that really was in its infancy.
Yeah.
And they're kind of throwing this out there to see what happens. And I think the fact that there will be an SDK for it and that there will be third-party developers for it, I think it's those third-party developers and those applications that are really going to answer that question, but right now Apple doesn't really know.
Yep.
The other thing that I would strongly suggest to people as you look at the pictures of the watch now, and it's kind of bulky and kind of big, but take a look at like the original iPhone compared to the models that followed it. Look at the original iPad to the models that followed it.
Yeah.
And even better, look at that first iPod that was practically a brick compared to the ones they sold down the road. You're looking at a 1.0 piece of hardware that will change significantly over the next couple of years.
Yes. And they did the one thing that the other phone people haven't done. They admitted there are women in the universe.
By making the smaller
version.
watch.
Yes, You're talking fast, we can't hear you.
Oh, I was trying to get in there a bit while you're talking about whether or not, they should have done this or they should have done that, or no, it was the what problem are they solving?
Oh yeah,
is what you're asking, and I just wanted to suggest that it's probably the developers were just so preoccupied whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should.
Right, and our point was that in prior demos, Apple comes up with that story, and this time, yeah.
I think the best Apple has right now is that it's another cog in their ecosystem. So if you have the iPhone and the iPad and you have an iMac, think for a moment about what we didn't see in the iWatch, but that we know is coming in Mavericks, which is continuity.
Yep.
So now your watch and your iMac will be aware that they are in close proximity to each other.
Ugh.
What can you build off of that?
Would you like to play a game?
Well, suppose it's a scenario where your iMac is asleep, you sit down at your desk, and now that you've been there for a couple of seconds, the iMac wakes from sleep automatically and logs you in because you're wearing the watch that you've already authenticated to.
Right.
There's got to be something more interesting than that, but we know they've already got HomeKit coming out. So what if you could? You're sitting in your bed and you're freezing, so you get your watch off the nightstand and you punch it in a few places and turn up the thermostat.
Yep.
I'm sure that there's a discussion coming down the road. So it strikes me that the watch isn't really interesting by itself. It has to interact with something else to make it worthwhile.
There was the Charlie Strauss tweet he did about one of the interesting things with the watch is since it does pulse, and since it's attached to your phone's GPS, what if it detects your pulse stops, calls 911 and gives your location?
Oh, sorry. I just took my watch off while I was taking a shower.
I would detect that. That'd be different. Somehow.
Well, that's true. It does have the motion sensor in it. So
there you go.
But does it matter? Then you would have been dead, falling silently onto the floor. Like, no, you can't. No. Now, if you made it like a life alert sort of thing, yeah, that'd be kind of cool too. Better if you had a video communication watch that Penny had in Inspector Gadget. I've been waiting for one of those for like 25 years. Give it to me now. Where is it?
Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy, even, yeah.
But that wouldn't be bad. What if you, what if you did have a panic button?
Yeah.
There could be something to that.
So fun stuff like that.
So honestly,
Panic alert! Help! I can't reach the remote.
My Apple TV won't work.
Hey, we already had people calling 911 because they couldn't get to Facebook.
Yeah, and that allegedly, and also there was the kid who couldn't get his homework done.
Are we moving on?
Yeah, I'm going to move us on quickly. A U2 album. I have to agree with Rich, and actually Andy Nako again brought this up too. For those who weren't aware, part of the Apple announcement was to give everybody a free U2 album, except Apple screwed it up, and that wasn't an opt-in. It was a suddenly in your purchased items, it was there. And in fact, if you have your iTunes set to automatically download your purchase items, you suddenly downloaded a U2 album, as happened to my daughters, where I had to go figure out how to go get it, which is the most annoying UI thing ever. Thank you, Apple. And I agree with the basic thing of, yeah, as Rich said earlier, Google and Amazon will force stuff into your library that you didn't want, and it screws up the crap. Apple's never done this before, so it has kind of broken an implicit agreement, well, not implicit, but an an unsaid agreement that we won't do this to you. Well, they suddenly did it to you. You suddenly got
it's broken precedent.
Yeah, it's a broken precedent.
Yeah.
I partially agree with the iMore editorial, which was more griping about the people who are getting physically angry over this, which is like, talk about one of the most self-indulgent first world problems to have. You've been given something for free and you get angry about it.
No. This is a breach of trust. That's where it. No, that's exactly where the anger is. It is.
No, it's not. Half the anger is, my God, who's this U2 crap on my drive?
You just put this stuff. You just decided to put this here without my permission. I get pissed off whenever I find out, there's now a new natural app, a part of the Android system. I get really pissed off. There was this stupid little HP app that was like, I don't want this crap. Don't make me have this on my phone.
Then don't buy Android.
Well, I understand that, but you can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere.
Right. It's just to me it's an album. It's free music. Yes, they pushed it onto your purchase things. They should have had an opt-in where you go and go grab it.
I get pissed off when I'm offered free magazine subscriptions.
Personally, my other take is, why do you have automatic download turned on your purchased items anyhow? But yeah, it's the degree of anger is just, to me, I had to agree, it seemed a little bit much, but I agree with the implicit thing that, yeah, this is a thing that Apple never did before, and now it's broken that precedent. It's like, thanks, Apple, now you're like everybody else.
It's like if I want to go to GameStop. If I'm going to go to GameStop and sign up for like their player rewards thing, it's like $15 a year and you get all these other perks. And then they say...
That's your first problem. You went to GameStop.
Well, where else am I supposed to go? But, no, it's like, there's no more EB, so... No, so it's like this, and then they tell me it's like, and then you get like a free month subscription to Game Informer or whatever it is, and I'm like,
I like Game Informer.
I don't care. I don't want your stupid magazine, and then I'm just gonna have to like deal with that and throw it away.
I should bring you to Disney World with us. You'll love the mouse tracking everywhere.
Fess, I'm not understanding why you don't want to continue to get the best service in the country. It's the... Yeah, anyway.
I work for Comcast. That shit don't work on me.
You know, this sort of thing, like, YouTube album being forced upon you and other things is like just a very short step away from a Terry Gilliam
Isn't it, though?
movie of some sort where it just goes, just that how extra step overboard Mr. Gilliam could do to it to make it into a dystopia. Oh, look.
Show me on this doll where you two touched you.
It's a dystopian future. Everyone is like in rags. There's bombed out buildings, and there's all these pages of Game Informer just flying in the breeze.
Or they're carrying their mandated electronic device, like, oh look, new music. Thank you, government.
No. It won't even. It might not even be like that. It'd just be like the masses, like zombies, and they all are reaching
Looking at Apple ad.
sky with their personal devices, trying to get the signal that was never there.
It's kind of like the Mac ad, but different.
Oh no. Okay.
We rethought the gaming magazine.
One more thing.
Let's move on.
Okay, here. We're moving on. I don't know if I'm on the video, but we're holding it up.
Okay. Is that the back?
No, that's the front.
Unchained.
Yes, Unchained. Herculaneum. Especially given current Kevin Sorbo issues, this is not a great name for a beer. Sorry. I couldn't resist. General Geek Summit. Yes, Summit, for those who are in the right region to get Summit beer, they have come out with their latest Herculean, I can't pronounce it, Herculean Woods. There we go. It's interesting in that they're using malts all from Minnesota. They're using hops from the area. They're using maple syrup from Minnesota, and then spruce tips from Iowa. It turns out one of the brewers has a family friend whose family runs a Christmas tree farm down in Iowa, and so they got free spruce tips that they throw in there, which adds actually kind of a bittering agent to it. So it's of their Unchained series, which generally I don't say much about, is I thought one of the more creative ones they've come out with in a while, not both in trying to do locally sourced ingredients and then adding some interesting stuff in there. Actually, it's a quite tasty beer, so I highly suggest if you can find it locally. I don't know how much outside of Minnesota you'll see it because it's their kind of specialty small batch stuff.
So now, you said it's the way that you said that it's a tasty beer. I want you to do an impression of Samuel L. Jackson and assert that it is a tasty
Look,
beverage.
nigger, it's a fucking tasty beer.
No, do the quote. Do the thing.
Which thing? I can't do Samuel Jackson. I'm not that good.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like...
Bad enough I just said the N-word, only because Samuel Jackson braided the one reporter into it once.
No, I just wanted you to go, that is a tasty beverage.
Oh, wait, no.
That is a tasty beer.
Okay.
That was more like Cosby.
All right, more at Summit.
I was going for Gottfried, but there you are.
Best version of 50 Shades of Grey I've ever heard.
You got it.
Speaking of 50 Shades of Grey...
Furry migration.
Furry migration happened. Actually, that has nothing to do. I promise. Furry migration happened this past weekend. I was a part of it. It was very cool. I was mostly in the panel room or behind the merch booth for almost the whole convention. Lessons learned for a first-year con.
Cool.
So, Furry Migration, first furry convention in Minnesota, and I can tell you that it had more attendees than the high-end preferred we want to get this number, so it exceeded our not minimum expectations, but our middle expectations, and that went very well. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to be figuring out if we're going to be in the same hotel again, and then if so, the date, or if not, also the date. But we hope to find that out in within the next couple of weeks. And it was pretty fun. Furrymigration.com if you'd like to see some of the aftermath. There was also a video that was put out by City Pages, interview about the con, and that was pretty cool.
Now, were you at the Radish Tree like other cons, or?
Nope, we have Thunder Chicken.
Ah, okay.
The partially remodeled Thunder Chicken.
Cool.
Remodeled as in the lobby is remodeled.
Are the rooms still god-awful?
They They still have some of the Native American stuff all around. It looks like they're keeping sort of that theme for now. I think some of the more offensive stuff has been finally taken out. But here's the great thing. I'm not gonna say trash about a hotel we just had a convention in and may have a convention in again. But one thing I found kind of funny was in some of the larger rooms, where they have like art on the walls. Well, they still have the art on the walls. In the bigger ballrooms, they're still up there. So much that they are sun bleached and it's basically blank, but it's still up there and framed. So
just in case.
Yeah. And I thought
glad to hear they did well.
Funny. Yeah.
Yay.
But I enjoyed my stay. I actually had a poolside table, a poolside room, and that was pretty cool. And actually, their quote unquote backyard, which is it's like this outdoor area that's surrounded by the building itself. It's actually a nice, cozy little get together area back there. It's really sweet, actually. It's really cool because they have like these little fire pits back there where they're like it's like one of those like gas things where they have like this cement ring and like a little bit of some rocks in the middle and there's just fire just comes out of it. So it's like, hey, you get a nice safe campfire and you don't have to worry about a whole lot of smoke or anything. So
sacrificing virgins.
Yeah. At a furry convention? I don't think anyone's a virgin anymore at those.
Oh, you'd have to import one. Yeah.
Whoa!
All right.
And
moving up, this is actually dovetailing off of General Geek going into gaming a bit. Did you know that Chubby Checker did a song for the video game Dig Dug? Yes, apparently so. It was going to be for a commercial, but it looks like the vocals were ultimately not used for the commercial. But at Wired.com, they have the old audio track with Chubby Checker singing about Dig Dug.
Cool.
Gadzooks, I've seen more Chubby Checker in the news this year than for like a decade before. Because there was that app that had to get pulled down. Called Chubby Checker that had nothing to do with the singer.
Yes.
Google it if you really want to know. But it's just one of those things that something pops into the news scene
Don't Google it.
and then doesn't go away. So it makes me wonder, like 3 months from now, what's the next Chubby Checker story going to be?
Who knows? So into gaming, of course, and somebody beat me to this one.
It's a dark day from some people's points of view. It's a happy day for other people's points of view.
And other people just are glad that it's over with.
If your nickname is Notch, you're extraordinarily happy. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, of course, this week, Monday, actually yesterday, it was announced that Microsoft, is buying Mojang, the makers of Minecraft, for $2.5 billion. Cough.
Yep, that's a lot of money.
And we understand, I've read more now since I've wrote this, and I understand more Notch's point of view and kind of Mojang's point of view. Notch basically was just tired. He was tired of any time anything changed in Minecraft, he got all the good and bad email about it and tweets and everything else, even though he hasn't really been doing much with it directly for about 2 years now. It just became too big for him. I mean, it was one of those. It's one of those where fame is a curse sort of thing, and so he just got tired of it and was, as somebody pointed out, this is on a Daily Tech News show, which is Mike Merritt's show. I was watching it last night, and somebody there pointed out that 2 years ago, Notch said, "Oh, I'd sell out for about $2 billion," on a subreddit somewhere on Minecraft.
Which may have been a joke.
Which may have been a joke, but it was kind of quiescent. So for $2.5 billion, he's and all the other money he's made, being the head of Minecraft, as it were, he's getting out of it, and so is Mojang, and it goes off to Microsoft.
Wait, whoa! I thought Microsoft was just buying Notch's shares.
No, they're buying Mojang. I thought they were buying all of Mojang. They're
getting the whole company.
Yeah, they're getting the whole for
Well, they
2.5
take-
billion. That's not just his
Whoa.
shares. That's the company.
Something happened.
Yes.
Check your connections. Holy buckets! What was that?
Mine works.
Mine's fine. You there? We're okay here.
All right, I was getting some crazy distortion on here. I'll mark the time.
Okay.
Because
We're
here
doing
I've
fine.
got the book.
Yep.
This is a good one.
The book. So yeah, basically, the more bigger curiosity is what the hell is Microsoft going to do with Mojang? And
I have the answer to that.
Is it sort of subparly support it and then nothing really happens?
No. I'm actually optimistic about this. And I wrote about this on my blog today as I just finished reading this book about how Minecraft was first developed and Mojang was originally founded. And yeah, Marcus had backed away from Minecraft development a couple of years ago and handed it over to this guy Jens. Really, it really is a case of it was a dream project of his that he wanted to make and that he wanted to sell, and it took over his life.
Yep.
And he has for years wanted to go off and do other projects. Well, guess what? Now he can. He can go to whatever. He can go buy a private island and sit on it for the rest of his life, writing little indie games because that's what he wants to do. So,
right. And he has already said if he writes another indie game that becomes as popular, he's immediately going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's...
So, the big thing about, oh my God, it's going to be Microsoft and Microsoft is going to mess it up. Well, a couple points to that. One is that there have been things that the Minecraft community has been asking for years that still haven't come into being. The biggest of which is some kind of API for the modders to be able to do their work without having to hack into the executable.
Yep.
And
that still hasn't happened?
That still has not happened.
I thought people were mostly wanting some sort of elevator system.
Yeah, no. And the big thing is, during the time people have been waiting for this, the Mojang developers have worked on pet features and pet other things. For Microsoft buying this, first off, I think people have really misunderstood what Microsoft has bought. Minecraft is not a game.
No, exactly.
It's a platform.
It's
a digital Lego set.
No. It's a game. I had this argument with the kid earlier.
You beat him up for his lunch money.
Well, no, okay. So one of the students I work with, we were arguing that Gary's Mod really isn't a game. It's not. Then he said it was, and I was like, okay, what's the goal? There's nothing. And then he was like, well, there's no. It's like Minecraft. What's the goal of Minecraft? There is a goal in Minecraft. It's not die.
If you're in survival mode. If you're in creative mode.
Well, that's the game mode.
Right.
Game mode, creative mode. That's two different things.
I'd argue that as much as you want.
I'd use the term in Minecraft called survival mode, but that's because my daughters would correct me otherwise.
But put whatever you think about a game aside for a second. The sheer amount of attachment that people have to Minecraft goes way beyond what you usually get in a game. And it's because the player can define their own boundaries.
Yeah, it's very
so
open.
Minecraft, it becomes what you make of it, what you want it to be. So in that sense, it's a platform. And in a lot of ways, it's becoming a social platform. If there is one thing that Microsoft knows how to do extremely well, it's manage a platform. They've done it for decades and made billions of dollars doing it.
Minecraft Azure.
So if you have this fear that suddenly all versions of Minecraft are going to disappear and all you have left is Xbox and Windows 8, they are not going to do that. And the reason they're not going to do that is what they really bought was not Minecraft. They bought the community of Minecraft players.
Right. The bigger fear, well, first of all, there's of the couple of jokes I've heard, one of my more favorites is maybe they'll finally improve the graphics. Sorry, I love that one.
Because Marcus never got around to it.
Yeah, an Xbox One. Imagine what you could do. No, the only big fear that seems to be out there that I think is a legitimate fear, just because we don't know what Microsoft's going to do, and they might not do anything, is the amount of monetized YouTube content on this game that Mojang has basically been very hands-off on and is allowed to happen, and technically they could slam down. I mean, look at what Nintendo has done on that front, where you can only use so much of a snippet, and if you use so much more, then they get a cut of your profits off your advertising, all that. It's just this, will Microsoft allow that to go on? Will they involve themselves or not? The general sense I get is it'll probably be a year or two before Microsoft decides what to do about it, if anything. But that was kind of the initial, I think, more legitimate fear is, well, this is because this is the gray area, because it's not directly Minecraft, it's an indirect use of it, and therefore, what are they going to do?
What I think, though, is if the thing Microsoft really treasures in this transaction, which I think is the case, is having a young, engaged audience that is enthusiastic about technology, they want those people to come along and associate with the Microsoft brand, which right now they don't. So I think Microsoft, in that sense, is going to be very, very careful what they do as insofar as how it impacts that community and their image within that community. So with that theory, because I think that goodwill is far more valuable than whatever revenue Minecraft generates.
Yeah,
that's what they really wanted.
But what happens when Microsoft buys somebody is almost as soon as the deal is done, everybody that's at the company that they bought is fired, and they start doing shit like Skype. Holy buckets! I mean, they haven't improved one thing about it. In fact, they've restricted things behind more things to upgrade and pay for. You know, so that's a legitimate worry of them wanting to, how can we make more money off of this? How can we fix something that isn't broken with this?
Skype was a very expensive infrastructure with no revenue coming in. Minecraft is a game that's paid for.
Okay.
So it has a revenue stream already. They don't need to really struggle to figure out how to monetize this thing.
Yeah.
Because they can already monetize it by selling dolls and Lego licenses and paper cutouts and all this branded merchandise, which probably now brings in more revenue in royalties than the Minecraft game itself. So I really...
Well, because most people have already bought it. So.
Have they?
I think most people in the world.
Fess, 10-year-olds get recreated every so many years.
In fact, new ones turn 10 every year. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I don't mean to pump up Microsoft too much. There's plenty Microsoft could do to, pardon my French, fuck this up royally.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of those things where the upsides aren't as obvious, but if you think about them long enough, they start to become clear.
Yep.
And there's a lot of opportunity for Microsoft really to burnish its image and improve their perception among young people, because those young people are going to learn to make mods or learn to build things. They're going to go to college. Some of them are going to learn computer science. Some of those people are going to go into the workplace, and they're going to go in thinking Microsoft actually is a cool cat. Yep. As opposed to a lot of the people in the late 90s, early 2000s that couldn't get past the fact that Microsoft was the devil incarnate.
There.
Well, it is. Be fair.
No.
If Apple had Microsoft's dominance, they would have been evil too.
Well,
who's evil now? I thought
they sure
lose track of who's evil. Who's evil this week?
Everyone.
Okay.
Hitler.
Google and Facebook are hit. Okay.
I was going to say, and kill Hitler. Yes, sorry. Yay, Danger 5. You hit a girl. I did not. I hit a Nazi. Anyhow. Speaking of Minecraft, how much stone did Mike get from leveling while Mr. Town's not on? So we don't care. On the other hand, I guess it was spectacular when Mike wasn't able to get the screenshot he wanted to get, but when Rich's son TNT'd the entirety of Mike's server, crashing it.
Yes.
Mike, I guess, tried to get the screenshot of this, but couldn't because the server was crashing.
There were no resources left to make it work.
Yes. But yes, you can, if somebody's running a private server, put enough TNT on their world to kind of hurt things a bit.
Yep. Yep.
I'm also proud to say my daughters are no longer practicing genocide in Minecraft. They found other things to do. We were worried for a while as eldest would happily burn down whole villages with the villagers inside.
Yeah,
but she's gone through that phase.
Well, I don't know. It'll come back again. I mean, I still, one of my favorite parts of Grand Theft Auto is still just, vehicular homicide, driving on the sidewalks and everything.
Well,
it's
she
hilarious.
wants to play The Sims now, so that's my bigger worry.
Pool party.
And speaking of The Sims, let's go into peaks. Who has peaks?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
Oh, well, I guess I'll launch in. No place to hide. I haven't done peaks in a long time, so I had to think about what I've been doing lately. But no, I got this book by Glenn Greenwald, who's the reporter for The Guardian that broke the Ed Snowden story.
Oh, yep.
And this is an interesting book. It's divided into 5 parts. The first 2 chapters talk about how he got involved in the story and how Snowden had contacted him and how he went to Hong Kong and met with him and all the things he learned about OPSEC along the way. The interesting part for you was chapter 3, which is the biggest chapter of the book, where he walks through the NSA documents that were leaked, shows samples of some of them, but basically walks them through program by program, explaining these are the things that they are actually doing according to their own documents.
Yep.
This isn't a speculation or an accusation. They're bragging that they are doing this. So if you want to understand what PRISM was, or you want to understand what it means when we refer to something called the 5 Eyes, or you want to understand where the overlaps and divisions are between the NSA and the FBI, and how that seems to just totally not matter anymore, that chapter goes into that in some detail. The 4th chapter is a meditation on why a surveillance state is damaging to a country. And then my favorite chapter, I think, was probably the last one, where basically he rips the media apart for the way they handled the story and for neglecting to fulfill the function of the 4th estate for so long that the situation was allowed to build the way it did without anybody challenging it.
Yep.
For as long as it did. So,
Cool.
Glenn Greenwald, No Place to Hide by Metropolitan Books. It's a hardcover. If you buy one hardcover this year, this is one to read. It is not happy reading, but it is important reading.
On the unhappy side, that dovetails nicely into the book I was reading, I'm currently reading, which is the I'm blanking on the name of it now. It's the whatever month, basically it's the most important month in history sort of thing. It's a knockdown, drag out, day by day July crisis of World War I. So the after Ferdinand gets shot, and then into the month that changed the world. That's the name of it. And then up to declaration of war, it basically goes July 25th, July 26th, and it's everything the diplomats are doing every day. Every single F up the diplomats are doing every day. Who did or did not talk to whom, who wanted war no matter what, and it's day by day all through July.
This sounds like a setup for a mini-series on AMC.
It would be, you'd need a scorecard and everything.
On the happy side, I have
I believe my other thing.
I have my Imperial Knight.
I moved it.
Oh, you moved
it to Melissa, since it's a thing about Melissa's peak. But
it's not just Melissa.
Richard still had another peak, though.
Okay.
That was the Minecraft book, which we already talked about.
Okay.
So it's in the show notes.
Yep.
But I got a giant ass robot.
Woohoo!
Space Marines this tall.
Jesus.
So this is finally I got it assembled and undercoated. It was only far too many. It's freaking huge. So I got some painting to do.
Anything more on Artemis? Let's see if that is your peak, Mr. Fuss.
Oh no. Okay, you did your peak, and you also wrote that Melissa will be back, and
You're missing the important part of that. There's an and in there.
yeah, I wasn't done talking, and you interrupted me.
I try.
And Wendy will be back to talk about Fantastic Fest.
Sorry.
So my peak is the Artemis Bridge Simulator. I already mentioned it earlier in the show, and I'll put the link in the show notes for that one.
Yeah. Is there an Android client too? I forgot if you mentioned that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought the Android. It's like $3, and here's the thing: you always need at least a second a second thing. Really, you want 3 at least. So I have my tablet, my phone, and the PC version. And for the PC version, I just download the free version, and you can be the helm and weapons on the PC. I think would be the best thing. I logged in with my tablet to be the basically main screen. And then also the server beginner, and I used my phone for comms, so I could actually know where I'm supposed to go and what I'm supposed to do if I want to actually advance, other than just destroy everything on all the bad guys on the screen.
Woohoo!
So that's what I recommend.
Sorry, the reason I'm being picky is it's one of the few times my wife will be on the show in the next show.
Hooray!
Yay! And we can make them yammer about everything and be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, it's a plan.
Yeah. We actually, you know what? We both of us, we probably shouldn't be on the show because they're going to use all the bandwidth.
Yep. And the oxygen in the houses.
All right. Well, that looks like that's it for this week of the Geek Life TV.
Woohoo! I can stay silent until somebody does an outro. Anyhow, I'm teasing. Thank you for listening to us for this long. We yammered a lot, I realize. Sorry for dropping the N-word, but it was the Samuel Jackson thing, so I had to step up to it.
Isn't that appropriation?
Kind of. It's just that I have distinct memories of when he was doing the interview and the reporter refused to say it, and Jackson's like, I won't answer your question, and just cows this poor guy. So anyhow, you can find us on the web at thegeeklife.tv, where you can email us with story ideas, or if you're feeling lonely late at night and need to email somebody at thegeeklifetv@gmail.com. Voicemail 612-567-6515. Again, if you have story ideas, want to leave us a comment, or just want to heavy breathe into our voicemail. You can find us on Facebook at The Geek Life. Twitter is at The Geek Life TV. And Google Plus is The Geek Life Podcast. This has been Fess.
I'm Fess.
Right. And Richard.
Bye-bye.
And Paul. Bye-bye.